So, I need to talk about Dragon Ball Super. And Dragon Ball Super has been divisive for many fans. And I want to talk about what on earth is going on with the power scaling in Dragon Ball Super. Because in the most recent episode of Dragon Ball Super, and if you haven't seen it yet and you don't want spoilers, leave now. In the most recent episode of Dragon Ball Super, Kelfla, a perfect Potara fusion, a perfectly balanced Potara fusion, at Super Saiyan 2, was able to beat Super Saiyan Blue Goku. Now, you may say that Vegito is very powerful, and a perfect Potara fusion is incredibly powerful, and that maybe there's, in their Super Saiyan 2, that's 100 times multiplier on their base form, that maybe that could push it. Okay. No. There is no justification for a Super Saiyan 2 Potara fusion to be anywhere near as powerful as a Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. It just doesn't work. And I want to talk about that a bit, because this whole concept of this fight just doesn't work. That these fighters should not be anywhere close to each other. Goku should be wiping his boot with their bloody corpse. There is no reason they should be putting up any semblance of a fight at all. So, let's go back a bit. A few weeks ago, in-universe, out-of-universe it's been months, because tournament arcs take forever. In-universe, it's been a few weeks since we originally saw Kaba obtain the Super Saiyan form and inform Kale and Caulifla about the Super Saiyan form. And we can assume that these Super Saiyans from the other universe are probably around the level of Frieza from Namek Saga, maybe a bit more powerful. That we could even give them being a bit more powerful than Namek Saga Frieza. Probably not significantly so, or they would have probably discovered Super Saiyan on their own, but we can give them at the very least, around Namek Saga Frieza, and they're probably no more powerful than Vegeta after he obtained Super Saiyan in base form. These brand new Super Saiyans, and you can justify them being a bit more powerful because they didn't know about Super Saiyan. They didn't know that it was a thing that they needed to obtain. They didn't know it was possible. And now that Kaba has brought to them and told them, hey, there's the Super Saiyan thing you guys should try. If they are around the level of Frieza, okay, that makes sense. That they just didn't know Super Saiyan was a thing. They didn't know how to trigger it. Now that they know it's a thing, and they're relatively powerful, that it would be pretty easy for them to quickly trigger Super Saiyan, to pick it up quickly. That makes some sense. I get it. But after that, they get into the tournament, the Universal Survival Tournament, and almost instantly obtain Super Saiyan 2. And, okay, I guess once again you can kind of justify that by maybe they have different genetics, that maybe this Super Saiyan race, because they're not so hostile to the other races of their universe, maybe they have interbred some, and that Super Saiyan genetics has sort of amplified them, and maybe something about this universe of Super Saiyans has made them grow more powerful more quickly. Maybe the Zenkai boosts don't work quite the same way in their universe. We don't know. That Moscow X has talked about it, and he's made videos talking about the Super Saiyan genetic differences, possibilities, sort of why these alternate universe Super Saiyans could be more powerful than the ones we're used to. But even taking that into account, these guys went from Super Saiyan 1 and then basically with no time, training, or effort into Super Saiyan 2. Just through shonen stereotype rage boost in the power of friendship, they obtained Super Saiyan 2. And that's irritating in its own right. It could be kind of justified with an in-universe answer, as well as out-of-universe answers of oh, well, a bunch of base-level Super Saiyans are not going to last very long in a tournament like this, and okay, I get it. Powering them up to make them more competitive kind of needs to happen, but I'm not super happy with the fact they obtained Super Saiyan 2 so quickly and so easily, but I at least get it. But then these Super Saiyan 2 Super Saiyans go to fight Goku. Two of them, Kale and Caulifla. One of them being the legendary Super Saiyan, similar to Brawly, and one of them just being a normal Saiyan. Now, this legendary Super Saiyan has managed to master this form, master what they call the Berserker form. And so, unlike Broly, who was leaking energy, he said he couldn't contain his energy, he couldn't control it, his power was too great for him to control, he had no control of his faculties of his body, he had no control in that form. And so it makes sense that if you have control over this Berserker mode, this legendary Super Saiyan form, that you could surpass Super Saiyan 2 or be on level of Super Saiyan 2. That you would be at least as strong as Super Saiyan 2, if not stronger than it in legendary Super Saiyan form. This makes sense. Now, all that being said, in that fight, Goku went Super Saiyan 3. Super Saiyan 3 is 400 times more powerful than base form. And there is no way to argue that Goku's base form is thoroughly more powerful than Kale and Caulifla, miles ahead. Meaning that Goku is going to get more out of that 400 times multiplier than they will. They're working at around Super Saiyan 1 to Super Saiyan 2 level, depending on when in the fight you're looking at. Super Saiyan 2 is 100 times multiplier. They have a weaker base form at 100 times multiplier around it. We don't know exactly what the multiplier on the Berserker, legendary Berserker Super Saiyan is, but somewhere around 100 times multiplier on a weaker base form than Goku. Goku has a stronger base form on a 400 times multiplier and loses the fight. He is forced to go to Super Saiyan God to beat them. This doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, there's no reason Goku should have lost that fight anyway, like even fighting 2-on-1. Now, we don't have any power scaling numbers specifically for Super Saiyan God, but a Super Saiyan 3 Goku was a toy to Beerus. Beerus didn't even have to pretend to try against Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Super Saiyan God Goku was, while not able to push Beerus very hard, was able to make Beerus at least try, was able to earn Beerus' respect by proving a good opponent. So we know that, while we don't know the exact difference in power there, we know that the Super Saiyan God transformation is a significant power boost. Massive power boost. So he goes to Super Saiyan God. This forces Kale and Caulifla to fuse using Potara, and it is stated that they're a perfect Potara fusion, and there's and I'll explain quickly what that means. Perfect Potara fusions in the case of Caulifla and Zamasu are a fusion where both personalities, both people in the fusion, are exactly balanced. There's no dominating personality. There's no one person more powerful than the other. They are exactly equal. They are perfectly in balance. And it's hinted at that a perfect fusion where they are in balance will yield a more powerful fusion than one where they are out of balance, where there's a power difference or one personality is more dominant than the other. So it would make some sense that this Caulifla fusion is going to be more powerful than the Vegito fusion that we're used to, because there is a bit of a power difference between Goku and Vegeta, that their personalities are a bit more dominant than each other, and so it makes sense that this fusion may be a little bit more powerful than the Vegito fusion that we're used to. But even then, this Potara fusion is in base form for the initial fight after we see it. This Potara fusion, even if we assume that it's more powerful than the Vegito fusion, in base form, was able to deal with Super Saiyan God Goku and force him to go Super Saiyan Blue. This should never have happened. If we're assuming that these characters in power level are somewhere between Frieza in base form, somewhere between Namek Frieza and pre-Cell Games Saiyans, that they're somewhere between that time period of power level. They're not even on the level of Buu Saga base forms yet. After their fusion, they should not be more powerful than a Super Saiyan God. There's no way. Vegeta was powerful, yes, but Vegeta was not that much more powerful than Ultra Gohan, and Gohan is the best single fighter we had ever seen in the show up to that point. And Gohan is a fighting prodigy. That Gohan was, at the time, the youngest person we'd ever seen obtain Super Saiyan, and Gohan and Goten and Trunks would mess that up, but Gohan was the first to obtain Super Saiyan 2. That the Ultra Gohan, Ultimate Gohan form is just Gohan's pure power. Just the pure power of Gohan. It is so powerful, in fact, that just the hidden maximum potential of Gohan on its own eclipses the power of Super Saiyan 3. That Gohan could have obtained Super Saiyan 3, and it's even hinted at that Ultimate Gohan is more powerful than Super Saiyan 3 Goku in the Buu Saga. And Ultimate Gohan was so powerful that he eclipsed Super Saiyan 3, that he didn't need to use it. He probably could have obtained Super Saiyan 3, but he didn't need to, because his ultimate form, this just him using his own raw power, was more than he could obtain with Super Saiyan. And as far as we know, there's no real reason that he can't go Super Saiyan in his ultimate form. It's not really been well explained, but Ultimate Gohan, ludicrously powerful. And Gohan managed to get powerful very, very quickly when compared to fighters like Vegeta and Goku, who had been training and fighting their entire lives, and were still, in the time of the Buu Saga, weaker than Gohan in their full power. These new Saiyans come onto the stage, and within a few weeks, and basically no level of effort, have gone from being around the level of Frieza in the Namek Saga to now, after fusion, beating a Super Saiyan god. If this power scaling is to be believed, then Super Buu is as powerful as Beerus. If this power scaling is to be believed, when Vegito fought Super Buu, that Super Buu should have been more powerful than Beerus. This is what power scaling is telling us from Super Saiyan. This is what the power scaling from Dragon Ball Super is telling us. And that's being generous to Kale and Caulifla. That's giving them more than they deserve. That's throwing them a few bones. That it makes no sense that they are that powerful. It's rational for them to be that powerful. On top of that, after they have beaten that Super Saiyan god, Super Saiyan Goku goes Super Saiyan Blue, and they then go Super Saiyan 2 and proceed to beat him again. Once again, not making any sense, because Super Saiyan 1 is a 50 times power boost, and Goku also gained a 50 times power boost from going Super Saiyan inside of Super Saiyan God, but like I've stated, Goku's base form is much more powerful than their base form. He should gain more out of the multiplier from Super Saiyan than they will. But whatever, scaling is irrelevant at this point, clearly. Continue to still beat him. Goku goes into Ultra Instinct form. Ultra Instinct form is so new, we know basically nothing about it, and then proceeds to thoroughly thrash them. But only after using a form that is the most powerful form we have ever seen, that is on par with Jiren. And exactly how Ultra Instinct stacks up to Jiren, we're not entirely sure, but Goku was able to at least deal with Jiren in Ultra Instinct form. And Ultra Instinct form scared the gods. The gods were worried about what this Ultra Instinct form and what Jiren could do. And Jiren and Ultra Instinct Goku are probably near the same level. Exactly how they stack up, we're not entirely sure yet, but they're probably around the same level, and the gods were scared of both of these characters. This fused Super Saiyan, brand new characters, baby Super Saiyans, were able to get on that level, were able to reach that level There is no rationality. There's no justification for it. There's none. There's no logical justification for it. It makes no sense. It has no place in or out of universe. It doesn't. That if you believe this power scaling, if you believe the rate at which these characters have been getting more powerful, if you believe that these alternate universe Saiyans have been able to go from somewhere around Namek Saga Frieza to Jiren and Ultra Instinct Goku levels in like less than a month, these Saiyans should have overthrown Zeno decades ago. All it would have taken is one stray Saiyan from that universe to like, hey, I'm going to dedicate my life to fighting, like Goku or any of the other Saiyans that we've seen have. Dedicate their life to fighting, decide I'm going to become really strong, and then just get one Zenkai boost and suddenly destroy the god of destruction for their universe. That's all it would have taken if the power scaling for this universe's Saiyans is to be believed. Because holy fuck, these guys got so powerful at an astronomical rate. They went from being nothing, that Vegeta toyed with Kaba in their fight, to being on par easily, to being easily in the top 5 most powerful fighters that we have seen so far. And that makes no sense at all. There's no reason, there's no rationality. It shouldn't have happened. It should have never even been considered an option to happen. That I cannot take Dragon Ball Super seriously when this is the kind of power scaling we're getting, when the numbers don't matter anymore. And yes, power levels have been irrelevant for a long time. Basically, since after the Cell Saga, power levels have been irrelevant. But that doesn't mean we can't just throw all logic out the window. If the power scaling in Dragon Ball Super is to be believed, and you can totally justify the Super Saiyans getting stronger at this point, it is just as logical in universe to say that a tomato got stepped on by a Namekian, got a Zenkai boost out of it. It's not a Saiyan, but that's irrelevant. It's going to get a Zenkai boost because what are even rules anymore? That a tomato got stepped on by a Namekian, got a Zenkai boost, and then one-shot Zeno and took over the universe. That is just as logical to say, based on the rules that Dragon Ball Super has presented us so far. And I like Dragon Ball. I love Dragon Ball. But watching these fights so far, watching this most recent Saiyan interaction has just made no sense at all. That it was very pretty. It was very well animated. Honestly, it was probably better animated than the fight between Jiren and Goku. But holy crap, it made no sense. None of this made any logical sense at all. And I just can't take the power levels seriously. I don't know what to believe anymore. Maybe Krillin's going to take over the universe next. Maybe Krillin's going to beat Beerus in the next episode. Who knows? There's no rules anymore. And that doesn't benefit anybody. Having a logical power scaling and power progression system where characters get powerful over time and become more powerful through logical steps and progression and character development is essential in a shonen like this. You need to have characters get more powerful in rational ways. You need to watch them grow and develop in a reasonable time span over a reasonable period in a way that benefits their character. But just taking characters out of nowhere and suddenly putting them in the upper echelon of characters doesn't benefit anybody. It makes the characters they're fighting again look like punks. It makes them look like Roman Reigns, and people who watch wrestling will know what I mean. That it doesn't benefit anybody to artificially elevate these characters for no reason with no justification. Then I get that it looks cool and it made for a nice fight, but the premise around the fight was so absolutely irrational that it never should have happened to begin with. And I am getting really tired of Dragon Ball Super doing this, because they've done it multiple times in this series so far. The worst case has been with Kale and Caulifla, but this is definitely not the first case of Dragon Ball Super doing ludicrous power scaling and making characters just outrageously powerful out of nowhere. And I'm getting really tired of it. And if Dragon Ball Super continues to go on the path of having this outrageous power differences and crazy power boost for the lols, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to take the series seriously. I don't know if I'm going to be able to extend my disbelief. I don't know if I'm going to be able to look at it and just be like, oh man, those are some cool fight scenes for long. Because I really can't, and I find myself more and more as I'm watching each episode just being like, this is dumb. There's no reason for this. Like, this is... when you break the rules this much, when you sort of break when you break the fourth wall this much and reach in and tweak things too much, it makes it impossible for me to suspend my disbelief and makes the show more difficult to stomach and makes it harder for me to enjoy the show. And they can't keep doing this. They need to keep things in line. If you want to power up characters, do it. That's fine. But within reason. So, that's my rant. If you guys feel the same, you guys feel different, leave it down below. Leave your comments. Have you guys been watching Dragon Ball Super? What do you guys think about this whole thing? Because I'm getting real tired of all of this. But, with all that being said, I'm gonna let you guys go. Hope you all have a great day. I'll see you all next time.